probably know our next guest best for her leading roles in films like Good Will Hunting even rather, and Circle of Friends.
And from hit TV series like The Riches and Speechless. And now Oscar nominee Minnie Driver is looking back on her incredible Hollywood career in her new memoir, Managing Expectations,
Yes.
which I have right here.
Yes, we do. And, of course, Minnie joins us now to tell us more. Now, this feels like a really sort of nice moment, I suppose, in your life when you look back and reflect on stuff. It's not, you know, not everybody has the opportunity to write their own memoir, right? This must be a real sort of
to have
affirming
you tell
moment.
your stories
Exactly
rather than
that.
someone else tell them.
Yeah, media or press or...
I'm just getting over following the tented toilet. It's really, like, maybe my favourite lead-in that's ever happened in my life. So just mad props to the loo. It's when you've told other people's stories your whole life, like, that's what I do. I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
However lofty that sounds. It's really great to finally sort of take charge of your narrative and spending the time, which I had during lockdown, to actually write and sit and think about what stories might be engaging or interesting for people to hear about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were very lucky because you went to a creative school,
Yes.
very creative school, and that's where, I suppose, the touch paper was lit.
Definitely. I mean, my school was the crucible into which all of my creativity went. So all my music, acting, my writing, it all comes from there. I had the benefit of amazing teachers and I think we were pretty free range and able to explore all that creativity, which, you know, I managed to turn into a job. I mean, my dad always said, if you can, find what you love and get someone to pay you to do it.
Yep.
I mean,
So
yeah, we like that. We like that.
it's quite practical, good. I mean, I know it doesn't always work out like that, but that's something to
Nice that
aim
you can do
for.
it. Although,
Absolutely.
having said that, when you finished your sort of drama school, were you the only one that didn't have an agent?
Yeah. I was the only one who graduated from my class without an agent. So I really did think that it had all been a bit of a non-starter. And it was that beginning of house music. It was the summer of love and driving up the motorway to go and, you know, go to a rave in a field. And I was
You
always
needed that tent.
I did. By the
would
way,
have come in handy.
would have loved to have that private tent.
Everything's linked.
There you go, it all makes sense. But you've always been, I suppose, relatively independent, right? Because you lived in Barbados for, you know, a period of time.
Yeah, my dad lived there, so yeah.
And then found yourself at the age of 11 on a plane by yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I got into a bit of a ruck with my dad. I'd been in a fight with my stepmother. Well, she wasn't my stepmother yet, she was my dad's girlfriend, and she was lovely, but I gave her a very hard time, as I think kids do, of new adults in their landscape. Anyway, there wasn't a direct flight back to England because my dad threw me out the house. There was, however, a plane that went to Miami. So at 11, I went and stayed for a day and a night by myself in this really famous hotel in Miami called the Fontainebleau Hotel, which in 1981 was a pretty intense, amazing place.
A party hotel, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You were put on kicked out the house. Were you taken to the airport?
I was taken to the airport, and then, you know, someone met me at the airport, put me on the plane, and then someone met me off the plane and put me in a cab, and the cab driver took me to this hotel where I was deposited. And, I mean, the people in the hotel were sort of astonished, but also thought, no, they thought it was pretty sad. But I did have kind of an amazing adventure. It was like Eloise at the Plaza. I ran around that hotel and I did, you know, my father had made the mistake of leaving his credit card on file and I bought up the gift shop.
Quite right, too. You sent there on
Had
your
an
own.
interesting day.
Buy everything.
It was a different kind of parenting. Remember, it was the early
Of course.
80s.
Yeah,
It was a
of
different,
course. Yeah,
It was a different moment.
So the big break, as we said, was really Good Will Hunting. That sort of set everything.
I think that's when I got really famous, but
Yeah.
I think my big
You'd
break
done
was
other
Circle
stuff.
of Friends.
Yeah.
And, you know.
But with something like that, when it is it is a big movie and it does happen for you. For you, did you know at that time? Okay, right now I'm home in my head. I'm home in my job. This is exactly where I want to be.
I mean, I wish that you could have the presence of mind within that. You know, it's like getting shot out of a cannon, getting famous. I think I say in the book, like, becoming famous is like everybody else has taken hallucinogenic drugs and you're the giant mushroom in their trip. Because it is really weird. It's really...
I've never heard that analogy before. It's
really distorted and strange. And so having a clear head was almost impossible.
Yeah.
I remember it a bit like a fever dream.
Yeah.
It was amazing and fun and like a ride.
But also, I mean, there's enormous lessons as well, harsh stuff, because you have been really honest and you have talked about things I don't think other people have got their own view on it, but, you know, you've been able to put your view on it. I mean, you did have a relationship with Matt Damon in the film, and all lovely, and that's great. It happens a lot, and that's superb. If it's fun, then terrific. And then you appear to be dumped on the telly.
Well, it was... Listen, there's a very different version of that story. It's always been reported that way. But in the book, I really talk about how much we loved each other and what a laugh we had. But we were kind of kids who then got really famous. And it's almost impossible, like I said, to kind of... for anything to stay normal.
Yeah.
You should never date anyone you work with. Like, you just shouldn't. I don't think it's a bad idea. And it was just very public. I think what would have been a communal garden, just awful heartbreak, was made very public, you know, in the newspapers and on the TV. And you know...
I suppose the public you can handle when everything's lovely and, like you say, you're in love and
that's
it's
exactly
fun.
right.
But then when it's still as public, or even it always feels more so, you always hear more about people's breakups than when they are happy keeping themselves to themselves.
But also forgetting that there are, you know, there are two hearts.
Exactly that.
100%, and they're two human beings as opposed to, like, these effigies that I think people think celebrities are. They're just human beings just bumbling around, making all the same mistakes that everybody else makes, just doing it in a very public way. So it's par for the course, like it's part and parcel. But I remember that time so fondly, as well as, like, it's always been so dramatically reported on, but I wouldn't change any of it. It was magic.
Yeah.
There are massive sort of positives. I mean, you're incredibly talented. Alice Beer was in here earlier on, and she said, "Have you ever heard this song?" And she played one of your songs, "Beloved," I think it was. And she said, and I said, "My God, that was 12 years ago." Yeah. And you've spent the time writing this, and also back to the music. Are you writing your music as well?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm always writing music, but I'm definitely writing another record. Yeah, I've just got to find the time to get in the studio and record it. But yeah, it's really amazing to be... People often want you to be in one lane, I find, as a creative person, but I'm far more in favour of that Renaissance idea of you do a bit of everything and you offer it up and you see what connects with people. And so I'll make music and write and act and hopefully direct. I don't know.
Well, that's the way we're all taught. You can go to the School of Arts and you learn lots of different things.
Exactly.
You don't have to just pick one and focus on that only.
Well, you do say that one of your greatest productions, though, is Henry.
Henry is my greatest everything in my life. My son is the greatest thing I ever did. Yeah.
Oh, is he 13 now?
He's 13. Wise, erudite, kind, funny. He's oh, there he is. There's with my boyfriend and Henry. He's just he's brilliant. Yeah.
And does he think the same of Mum?
Do you know what? He interviews... So I've got this podcast called Mini Questions, and I ask the same 7 questions to everybody who comes on, and Henry just interviewed me for the Mother's Day edition, and it was so brilliant. I told him, I was like, darling, you know, you asked me the questions, and then remember you've got to have, like, follow-up questions. And he was like, great, what would be your last meal? Well, you know, probably ice cream. That's very interesting. As a follow-up question, would you have sprinkles and chocolate sauce on your ice cream? I was like, yes, mate, I would.
They're the important questions we need to know.
He does sound like that. He's got a really deep voice, and he is an American, and he's going to be so annoyed that I just did an impression.
I was just about to say.
Sorry, Heather. Sorry, my darling.
He's going to be furious. Thank you for coming in. You can't go without... Because I'm lucky to have teeth.
Oh, yes.
And you won't remember this.
With the golf club.
You do remember?
I remember it.
I
nearly took your whole face off.
Here's the clip, 2005.
Am I addressing it correctly?
Address the ball beautifully.
That's what you're supposed to do. And then it's like...
You think, oh, OK.
No, you see, what you don't want to do is take the teeth out of the presenter. That was my first
That was
tip.
so close.
That was the
Can
first
you imagine
tip.
the insurance claim on there?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
You go up on your toes.
That was very, very close.
Very close.
God,
Yeah.
I'd never forget it. I'd never forget it. Oh, my God, I'm so happy.
They're still mine. It's incredible. It's lovely to see you. Thank you
Lovely
very
to
much
see
indeed.
you.
Minnie Driver, Managing Expectations. That's the book, and also keep a lookout for the music when she's finally in the studio. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.